The Garden After the Grave. They thought the story ended at the tomb. Silence filled the air, grief filled the hearts, and hope seemed buried beneath the stone. But heaven was not quiet. It was counting to three. On the third day, the garden woke up. The same ground that held death began to breathe life again, because resurrection doesn't happen in temples, it happens in tombs. Mary stood there, tears blurring her vision, looking for a body that wasn't there. And then, in a whisper softer than sunrise, she heard her name. Mary. The voice that called stars into existence called her out of sorrow. The first sound after the grave wasn't thunder. It was love speaking her name. That's the garden after the grave, the place where loss meets living hope, where endings turn into beginnings, where death becomes the soil of deliverance. Some of you have buried dreams, laid them down beneath the weight of failure or fear. You've stood at the graves of your own expectations, and you've whispered, "It's over." But listen, the gardener is walking your way. He's been tending the ground beneath your grief. What you thought was decay is actually preparation. What you thought was an ending is the seed of something new. The garden after the grave is not quiet. It's filled with resurrection sounds. Stone rolling, heart beating, faith breathing again. The same Jesus who walked out of his tomb is walking through yours, and he's still calling names. Not the name shame gave you, but the one grace restored. He's saying, "Rise, come forth, breathe again." Because resurrection is not a one-time event. It's a rhythm, a constant hum of heaven in your soul, a reminder that God turns graves into gardens and sinners into sons. So don't build a house in your heartbreak. Don't make a home in your mourning. Walk toward the light, because the tomb is empty and your story isn't over. The garden after the grave is proof that what died in sorrow can live in glory, that what broke you can also bloom, and that grace never leaves you buried. If the stone could move for him, it can move for you too. Step into your garden. The grave has already lost its hold.